Thanks very much. What I'll briefly go through this afternoon is a quick overview of what the development proposals or plans are for the HSE and healthcare facilities over the next number of years, and give some insight in some of our major projects and how we're going to go about procuring them. As Tom says, we've quite a large portfolio of properties, ranging from the large acute hospitals to the domestic house, which houses a family, or a hostel in the community, or a supported living. So we cover the range from very large complex projects to projects of a domestic scale. So we engage within the construction industry at all levels. Just a quick overview. Our capital allocation for this current year is 312 million. We are getting an increased allocation for over the next number of years to deal with the new children's hospital. And we're also hopeful that with the government about to announce the new capital spending proposals for the next number of years, that we get an increased allocation there. Our major projects, our priority projects, these are government priorities laid down. The new children's hospital, which will be coming back in focus shortly. We're due to the National Forensic Mental Health Services is the replacement of the Central Mental Hospital in Dundrum out in Curran. The move of the National Maternity Hospital from Holles Street to St Vincent's University Hospital campus. We have continuation of our developments in radiation oncology. Primary care centres is one of the platforms for delivery of healthcare into the future, and we have a major requirement in terms of community nursing units and upgrading of those. The National Children's Hospital, again, this is a project which has been much in the headlines over the last nearly decade at this stage, but we're now approaching the planning application stage for the new design on St James's Hospital campus. So there is an image of the design. I'd say this will become a pretty common image in papers over the next couple of months when we launch the planning application. Again, sorry, not going too clear there, but it's a large hospital, 473 inpatient rooms, a lot of operating theatres and imaging suites, outpatients, urgent care. There's a school, there's education, research and innovation centre associated with it. There's a helipad, shared services with St James's Hospital, family accommodation building. The total floor area of the development is 120,000 square metres, with 35,000 metres additional in the basement. So you can see it's quite a large development by any measure, one of the largest ever undertaken in the state. There's also two satellite units associated with the development, one in Tallaght Hospital and one in Connolly. Again, these are significant buildings in their own right. The Connolly Hospital Satellite Centre will be in the order of 5,000 square metres, and in Tallaght about 4,500 square metres. And there's an indication of the programme. Design commenced, we're well in the way of completing the design. The planning submission will be lodged hopefully by the end of July, and a decision we expect in Q1 2016. And during the planning process, we're continuing on the design and the procurement, so they're ready to start construction, subject to planning obviously, in Q1 2016. Again, we're looking at this project in terms of ways we're going to procure it, given the scale of the project. How do we engage with the industry, and separately we'll be having market engagement, I'd say shortly after the planning application is lodged, with the industry to see, to get the thoughts of the industry in how best to procure it, given our requirements in terms of public procurement. But we'll hopefully get into a stage where we early contract engagement in the process, and probably in terms of a two-stage tendering process as well. Another major development is the National Forensic Mental Health Services, which is the replacement of the Central Mental Hospital in Dundrum. This is planned for St Esa's in Curran, that site. We received planning permission on the 2nd of June 2015, so we're now in the process of preparing the tender documentation, and we'll be tendering it in Q3 2015, and with construction commenced before the end of the year. There's a 24-month construction programme associated with the project. Again, the size of the development is in the order of 24,000 square metres. Again, a very significant development. National Maternity Hospital moving to St Vincent's University Hospital campus. Again, it is quite a large development on the campus there. Again, given an idea in terms of the scale, the overall scale of the development is 45,000 square metres over 5 to 6 floors. Again, extensive range of facilities between inpatient bedrooms, operating theatres, special care baby unit and neonatal intensive care unit, and all the support services, outpatients and day service associated with the maternity. And plus there will be significant developments for St Vincent's Hospital itself in terms of improved catering, HSSD and other departments within the hospital in St Vincent's. Our programme there is, design is progressing. We'd hope to have the planning application lodged before the end of the year. Again, the project will be tendered in Q3 2016 subject to planning permission, and it'll be a two-phase project where the first phase will be the construction of the decant buildings and the site enabling works, and the second phase will be the new maternity hospital itself. Again, the programme will be in the order of 3 years for the project. The National Radiation Oncology Programme. This is a key enabler to cancer treatment in Ireland. The overall cancer care have identified a requirement in terms of the linacs for radiation treatment will increase quite significantly over the next number of years, and we have to provide for the additional capacity. So we have to replace some of the old facilities and to provide for additional capacity required. The programme will involve developments in Cork, Galway. We are also refurbishing part of St Luke's and Rathgar, and will be doing phase 2 in Beaumont Hospital. The Cork project will be tendered by the end of Q3 2015, and the Galway project Q3 2016, and construction will commence in Cork in 2016 and in Galway in 2017. Beaumont will probably be towards the end of 2017, and St Luke's will happen over the next 18 months in terms of that refurbishment project. Primary care, again, has been a platform for healthcare delivery in terms of removing as much activity as possible from the acute hospital sites into the primary care where it can be best and most economically provided for. Example, there are two of the facilities we to complete over the last number of years. Ballyfermot on your right, on your left, and Inchicore on your right hand side there. Again, we're using three methods to deliver primary care. The traditional, which is in the capital programme, which involves the HSE capital plan, the state funding them. We've currently 16 in the capital plan, and that's probably the level which we've consistently been providing them to over probably a 3 to 4 year programme for each of those. So as one gets completed, another one gets added to the programme. The public-private partnership, we've recently announced that the preferred bidder for our PPP projects is Balfour Beatty, Prime Balfour Beatty Consortium. We're now into the financial close period, which we hope to achieve in October 2015, and construction will commence straight afterwards. Should we notice that we've got planning permission already achieved at all of the sites, and I didn't list them there, but for all interest, it gives a flavour that we are, in terms of the construction industry, it's very much a national project, and that our sites are located in, I'll give a quick rundown: Ballymote, Boyle, Westport, Claremorris, Ballinrobe, Tuam, Limerick, Dungarvan, Carrickenshaw, Waterford, Wexford, Kilcock, Coolock and Summerhill, North Inner City of Dublin. They range in size from about 1,500 square metres to 4,000 square metres. I think the total floor area for the overall development for all 14 is about 42,000 square metres. Again, it's interesting that we've managed to achieve very competitive bids in relation to the PPP, which I suppose reflects two things: the still competitive nature out there in terms of the construction industry itself, but also in terms of the the funding, where the funding has been provided at a very economic, a very attractive rate. We've also managed to get the European Investment Bank involved in it, which we put a floor on the funding, which is a great enabler for and confidence for other funders to come in. Community nursing units. We're facing a major challenge in this area, where with the increasing standards from HICWA in terms of how we provide accommodations for older persons in a community nursing unit, the move to single room accommodation, ensuite, with appropriate day spaces and increasing accommodation standards compared to what we've got a range of facilities currently, from some of our more recently completed units, which are in accordance with the highest standards, to some of our older units, which are a throwback to the workhouses and to the mid 1800s. So there's quite a challenge in bringing all of our facilities up to the appropriate standard. I suppose our standards in terms of the accommodation is one thing, our standard of care is another aspect of it, but what I'm focusing on is in the standards of accommodation. So we need to upgrade and replace existing units to meet accommodation standards. There's also a need for additional capacity in terms of our ageing population and the way that our demographics are moving. We estimate that the total investment required is in the order of 800 million. We don't have that currently in our capital programme, so I know our ministers are seeking some additional funding from the Department of Public Expenditure to enable us to do it. We're also considering alternative sources of funding for these projects, whether it's through a PPP or some alternative financing for them. But again, we've about over 120 of these units, 100 of them which will require significant investment, and they're spread right throughout the country. Just briefly on some other projects we have in our plan. Hospital developments. I think most hospital CEOs, hospital managers, their ambition is their hospital to be a building site, because as you go around you'll see that there's whether it's on the front gate or the back gate or the side gate, there's nearly always a sign for a builder up on our hospitals. So we've a major programme of improvement, especially on some of our ward accommodation, additional capacity, and as we reconfigure our health system in terms of what the hospitals are doing, there's a need for investment to ensure that the facilities are able to cater for, to deal with the activities that they are that they're charged with delivering. We have, in terms of other than maternity services, the need to relocate our standalone maternity hospitals onto acute hospital sites. We have the National Maternity Hospital moving to St Vincent's, but there's also a need in terms of the other two maternity hospitals in Dublin to relocate them onto acute hospital sites. Again, we have one in Limerick which needs to be relocated onto the site in Duradoyle. There's a major demand in terms of diagnostic services, whether it's improving in terms of radiology facilities. You know, for what was special a few years ago, now is the norm. You know, MRIs, CTs are all, have to be provided for all our hospital sites. They all don't have them at the moment. In relation to lab facilities, the range of diagnostic tests currently available, we need to upgrade a lot of our lab facilities and maybe consolidate them into ensuring that we have the proper diagnostics available for the people. Again, as ward accommodation, we're moving away from the multiple bedded ward to single rooms. Recent development on our hospitals have provided that single room accommodation, and our ambition is that it'll become the norm rather than the exception throughout the country. But again, that requires major investment. On our community residential units, either mental health or disability services, again, they're subject to regulatory inspection by HICWA and the Mental Health Commission, and again, they've been criticised around the country for a variety of reasons. In terms of their accommodation, we have a challenge there in terms of having the appropriate accommodation to meet the needs of the people. On the disability services, we're moving away from what's called congregated settings to moving them into the community. Again, that requires a significant investment in developing acquiring and developing the appropriate accommodation for them in the community. Childcare services, again, the agency has been established. TUSLA has been an independent agency responsibility for childcare, child and family services in the country. We and the HSE estate still deliver the service for them on their estate function, so we are developing and upgrading their facilities. With our development of our reconfiguration of our hospital services, one of the major things is ambulances, having them at the appropriate locations, having the fleet and the bases enabled so that people are confident that the time for the time it takes the ambulance to get to them will be reduced, and we have to upgrade our facilities there. We always have a need in terms of our minor works programme, which we spend about 30 million annually on, and this ranges from upgrading infrastructure on sites to repairs to replacement of key pieces of plant and equipment. So that's quite a major element of our work. We also, and I'm glad in terms of that, one of the themes of the conference here today is sustainability, because that's a major challenge that we have in the health service. As a service that operates on a 24-hour, 365 day of the year, we are a major user of energy. Our hospitals are major consumers, and for the government to meet its 2020 targets in terms of energy consumption reduction, if the health service doesn't play its part, I'm afraid the country won't achieve its targets. So that's the challenge we have. It's an area where we are involved in. All our new designs will be done in terms of the highest standards, in terms of achieving the highest rating, and our existing facilities, we are upgrading those to in terms of reduced energy consumption and to improve environmental standards. We're also involved in areas like waste management, waste reduction, water conservation. All of those areas form part of our brief. So that's a fairly quick review of where the health services are at in terms of its developments and its projects. All our projects are procured. We want to go public procurement. We advertise or publish them in e-tenders, or if they're of significant scale, on the European Journal as well. So for those of you who want to work for us, looking for work for us, I mean, it's through the public tendering process. If we're on designers, it's through our design team frameworks, through our and there's we have, for various scales of projects, panels and frameworks. Again, on the works contracts, we have minor works frameworks we've got, and for our larger contracts, then they're probably issued on a standalone basis, seeking interested parties to put in submissions for them. So that's a quick fired run through in terms of the health services. So thanks very much for your attention.